What's up, you guys? Sean Ross Sapp here. Welcome to Fightful. It is May 28th, 2025. We are here for your post AEW Dynamite show. I will be joined shortly by Alex Pawlowski. But if you're here, leave a thumbs up, drop a fruit emoji, get in your super chats and humper chats as we answer your questions. Answered 90 minutes of your questions earlier on the hump. Hopefully, you guys will go back and check that one out. But we got a lot to talk about. We had a lot of breaking news on Fightful Select over the last couple of days that play into this show as well. And also somebody that plays into this show, this gentleman right here, Alex Pawlowski.
Yes.
I know that he got very excited when he heard Ricochet say that he needed a crew, and he immediately thought of Hot Rod's crew.
Actually, the problem is I immediately thought of The Crew, which is not what I want. I don't want those two guys. I want Gates of Agony. Those are my guys that I want in Ricochet's crew. But I like that he's realized the numbers game is all important in AEW.
I remember, like, New Japan traditionally has been a very faction-based company, and that's kind of like what you have to do there. AEW was like that for a while too, and they leaned out of it, and it honestly hurt their tag division and their trios division. But by God, we're here right now. Again, leave a thumbs up on this video if you don't mind. Get in your super chats and humper chats. Again, we have more exclusive news here than any other podcast out there. We had noted this past week, a woman who ended up showing up, Techla, was backstage at AEW Double or Nothing. She lives in Arizona. That's why she was there.
Yeah.
I get the feeling I'm going to hear that this one came together kind of late. But Juice Robinson also backstage at AEW Double or Nothing, according to Fightful Select. However, we've heard that he is a little bit further away from return than anticipated, and something that we had on our free tier of FightfulSelect.com. Make sure you guys check that one out. Young Bucks, both injured. Jamie Hayter, we checked on her afterwards. She clarified with us. She's like, I'm good. Don't worry. Good to go. No, a lot of people were concerned after that spot that ended the match, but she's all right. But what I was told, Alex, was that today there was a lot of people banged up from Double or Nothing, to the point to where there were a lot of people like on the questionable area of the injury report and had to get cleared before they really knew what they were going to do with a lot of tonight's show. So they had some plans, some contingency plans. That being said, how do you think that they handled this show with a lot of those question marks?
I mean, I guess I would have to compare it to whatever they would have done had people been healthy. You know, like I really enjoyed the in-ring segments that bookended the show. And
I do too.
you know, the 6-person mixed tag was fun. The ops squashing some douche bros is fine, but you know, like and I loved the women's hardcore match. You know, like it felt to me like maybe we were jumping the gun a little bit on Kyle Fletcher having a TNT title shot in the middle of the second hour. Like, if you're not putting it on the main event, we know exactly what happens, and then that's the thing that happens.
Yeah, and I like, definitely didn't like what happened.
Yeah, exactly. So, like, it's those kind of things. So I'm not really sure exactly what would have been on the card instead. But I think depending on really who was available and who wasn't, I think they handled it pretty well.
So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go through some of the things that exist like in their own world on this show, because I know some people are a little late to gather in, and I know exactly the segment that everybody is going to want to hear us talk about. But Swaran says, and I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Apologies if I'm not. Alex, you can choose only one option. Watch the movie that SRS recommended. I just want to make this clear. I am not recommending the movie. I want to make that abundantly clear.
Yes, you are.
I am not recommending a movie that, to me, a person who does not get offended by movies got offended by and then thought, is this so bad on purpose that it's performance art? He says, or, and have all the super chats, humper chats for yourself, or you buy the VIP package for Fozzy whenever they are in town with no reimbursement.
I mean,
It's a decision for your family, Alex.
I guess so. I don't like that binary. There needs to be a middle
watch
ground.
Tom Green wear a moose carcass for your family.
I mean, when you put it like that, I suppose I would choose my family, but it's, it's thank goodness we don't live in that world exactly, and there's no binary there, and we don't have to choose that. So
you're gonna hate some of the new laws that I'm working to get passed in this country, and let me tell you, Alex, there's a good chance they go through in this landscape.
I mean, it's possible. Yeah.
There's a good chance I can push through an executive order.
Very good chance. Yeah.
Just to pop a few certain people. James Zimmerman, thank you for the $5 super chat. My God. Man. It just, this show, it's one that you can tell, listen, they had to follow up a pretty big program.
Indeed.
Had some people. Tom LaValle said, SRS, buy Alex and Kate personalized Muppets. Again, if I can find out where to get them, I am open to that. I would have been open to that without the movie. Is the thing. I would have been. And Bill says, as a part of Alex's legal counsel, listen, Bill, I think you used the wrong counsel, by the way. So you might want to go back to DeVry. It says, I believe the agreed fee for this atrocious fee was 2 custom puppets. I heard that and I was like, I'm somewhat entertained and encouraged by this. Speaking of college, I got to say, Deanna Purrazzo's tweet popped me today. Did you see that?
No, I missed this.
Somebody said, are you going to be on Dynamite? And she goes, yeah, I bet. Probably during the picture-in-picture. For her SNHU commercial.
Okay, so Sean, they're doing like a 4-hour Dynamite. They're doing multiple 4-hour Dynamites.
Two of them.
Two of them.
From what I'm told, they're going to put some pretty important stuff on at least one of them. I just don't know what that important stuff will be.
My suggestion was to do an old school King of the Ring one-night tournament.
Yes,
but do it for the women.
I love that. Women.
Like it's entirely encapsulated in one night, and do an 8-person tournament in one night. That'd be really cool.
It'd be the opportunity to show that they can draw and do a lot of stuff like that. I think that'd be really, really cool.
Yeah.
There was the Ricochet segment where he said that he is looking for a crew. You want Gates of Agony. We assume he means an actual Leo Rush and Action Andretti.
I mean, he says, I need to get a crew. So maybe he's just using the word, but he also is probably meaning he's going to hire crew. But I really want it to be Gates of Agony because I love the aesthetic of the new Bishop Khan laughing while clapping behind the aha. I think would work so well. That's what I want, but I don't get.
And I also think that the people writing the storylines in AEW and Ricochet are probably smart enough to know that we would deduce that it might be Leo Rush and Action Andretti, and maybe they would assume that,
right? And
they would come out and say, "Oh, well, I hear that you needed a crew. Here we are." And then the Gates of Agony.
He's like, "Oh no, these are the guys I meant." And in walk these two behemoths, and they look up. It'd be good.
Yes. And listen, if you want to do a match right after that and make it a somewhat competitive match, and those two can make Khan and Toa Leona look incredible.
Yeah.
I think that would be a nice approach. Yeah. But a Mystico vignette, listen, them getting involved with Mystico is good business for them. I would suggest getting him involved in the AEW All-In card and moving some tickets. Again, I cannot underscore this enough. I've brought it up a number of times. MLW has gotten really good at it. There's a severe disconnect from what Twitter thinks of MLW and the people that show up to MLW, because they are filling houses right now. And a lot of it's because they promote it as Lucha Libre locally. AEW started to do this a lot. I would get Mystico on that All-In show if I could. I absolutely would. But I think that's something that they need to do. We also, let's start off with a match. Let's start off talking about a match before we get into it. Now, if you don't watch Dynamite, you have no idea who the Frat House is. You'll go.
You mean ROH? You mean ROH?
Yeah. Sorry. Well, no. If you don't watch Dynamite, you don't have any idea who they are.
That's true.
And in fact, you'll say, "Why is Griff Garrison still in college?"
You could ask that question.
He picked up that extra year of eligibility for the COVID year for sure.
He's definitely a 6th year red shirt. You know what I mean?
Yes.
He's now as a grad student. Yeah.
One of these gentlemen's 35 years old. You got some real Van Wilder going on here.
Yeah, very much so. Yes.
And I mean, I will say this: even the match was what it was. It was Hobbs spine busting a lot and then whipping ass, and then the last spine buster got botched a couple times, which wasn't good. But they wanted who were the plebs in the Frat House? Anyone know? I'll work on finding out who the extras were.
Yeah.
But they wanted these 3 gentlemen to be as obnoxious as humanly possible,
very much
so they would get their asses kicked, and that was the complete goal of this.
Yeah. I guess I was hoping if you were going to do this angle, that you would immediately follow it up with a development on the intrigue among the ops from Sunday, where Hook came out and hit Claudio in the face with a golf club as a receipt for, having done the neutralizer onto an overturned chair. But it was just Hook getting revenge on Claudio and seemed to have no interest in rejoining the ops. But Samoa Joe was like, "Hey, you're back. Give me a hug." And Hook gave him a dirty look and walked away. Now they showed that, and Taz was like, "I don't know what my son is thinking half the time, so whatever." And I'm like, okay, so if you're going to do the ops and a squash, at least have Samoa Joe say, "Hook, please come back, buddy. You're my little brother and I love you. I don't know what's going on, but we can work it out, whatever it is." At least give Joe a mic to further that, because that is interesting to me. I don't necessarily need a Hook heel turn, but there's something here. And I feel like you had the opportunity to do that right after this squash, and they didn't do it.
Yeah, I'm made of questions, especially on this shorthanded Dynamite too. I feel like that's something that they should have followed up on. Yeah. Really, the most we got about Hook was Taz telling Don Callis to not have Kyle Fletcher stand in the corner like Hook. I want a follow up on that. I want to know what is next for Hook. What were his issues? Now I'm sure that they're going to follow that up. I'm sure they have a plan for that. It wasn't just out of nowhere. But that is something that, seeing them out there, I thought that maybe they would follow up on it, or maybe I missed Ian Riccaboni or something, which again, I really love that Ian Riccaboni is on commentary.
Right.
But I really thought somebody like he or anybody would be like, "Well, I asked Samoa Joe about it. He said he wants to keep that in-house. He's trying to find out himself," type of thing.
Yeah.
Because that also shows some loyalty to Hook as well, that they don't want to air their dirty laundry out there.
Sure.
Tom LaValle says, Griff, Preston is 33, but Hobbs, though. I mean, I love basically, and somebody said that they should call that Spinebuster party "Bustin' Makes Me Feel Good," which is really great. Is really great. I love that they're just like, yeah, let's do 6 of these in a row, because it works.
Just get Tony Khan to get Ray Parker Jr. on the phone and license the music, and then have somebody do Spine Busters.
So you and I didn't get to speak about this. I thought the use of "I'm So Excited" was phenomenal.
It was very
on
fun.
Sunday.
It was very fun.
And they've already paid for the song to use for the next year. So I want them to go a step further. I want it to be a recurring bit. When somebody gets kidnapped on this show, I want them tortured with that song. But then they're like, yeah, I like it. And then they're like, whoa,
wow.
we got a hold of a crazy one here. We can't mess with this guy.
Right.
One of those. But I thought that was a really, really good spot. And Drowning Pool. Listen, I think that Dave Williams is an underrated vocalist. It is the most appropriately butt rock wrestling song ever. And I love that it fits so well.
and it's of a certain generation that the median AEW fan in the arena for Double or Nothing was like, hell yes, I remember this song, and sang along to every word of it. You know, it was a perfect thing to use it for.
I don't think that it ever charted like top 40 all that. It was a very like isolated rock hit. Like that's
Yes.
it. It did really well on like the mainstream rock charts and all that.
Mm-hmm.
But it wasn't going to be on 104.5 The Cat or something like that.
No, but if you had a Z-Rock type station in your college town, that thing got played a lot.
And if you're a wrestling fan, you became very familiar with it because WWE, I mean, they produced what I thought was a really good Triple H theme as well.
Sure.
They were on another, I mean, beyond the SummerSlam show and ECW, but Tearaway was also featured as well.
Yeah.
Well, also here's a funny thing. I was trying to get scoops about that show, right? And I was trying to ask people around the Anarchy in the Arena match and who were in it, and they're like, "Oh, we got a good song for tonight." And I sarcastically sent them the Pointer Sisters. And then later on, they watched the show and they're like, "I thought you just knew." I was like, "No, that was a sarcastic guess."
Nope.
Mm-hmm. Well, if you've got some good sarcastic guesses that you think will be on the money, Bet Online is for you. Bet Online AG. All of our odds that we've ever gotten from wrestling, MMA, boxing have come from Bet Online. We are so proud to be doing business with them. A lot of you guys are saying, wait, you can bet on pro wrestling? Yes, you can bet on pro wrestling. In fact, I've got it at a minus 200. This lawnmower outside my window isn't going to stop by the time I do this ad read. You hear that? I would have made some money at Bet Online AG with that prop. Go check out the Bet Online wrestling odds. That's the only ones you have ever seen on Fightful because we only trust Bet Online AG. They're 25 plus years. They're safe and secure environment. Their high limits, their credit card acceptance is all unmatched. You can bet big with their rebet functionality as well. The earliest lines that you're going to find, whether it be wrestling, MMA, boxing, or other sports, Bet Online. Check them out. So, some tragic news, Alex, that I know that we're going to speak about next Wednesday because Jimmy Van's going to have some things to say.
Yeah.
Aero Lucha officially dissolved, Alex. For those that don't know, because listen, if you're 18, 19 years old, you're wrapping up your college and you're like, you know what? Let me put on the Fightful podcast. Then you were probably 11 when this was a thing, when they had a decent roster, but they got investors and all that stuff. And Fightful sarcastically invested in it just to get the updates. And within a year, this Lucha company that had Ricky Starks and Thunder Rosa and Sammy Guevara and I think Rey Mysterio was getting like CBD ads from them. Then they tried to rebrand into a cartoon and all this stuff. It was so ridiculous. But we sarcastically invested in it. Jimmy got a mask from them, I think. And they announced today they have dissolved. And they're blaming it on WWE acquiring Lucha Libre AAA. Now, listen. There are some real antitrust concerns as it pertains to WWE. Aero Lucha ain't one of them. I cannot wait to eviscerate this entire situation on next Wednesday's show. Even if you don't have a clue what Aero Lucha is, please tune in. I tried to buy their video library last year. Sincerely tried to. It couldn't have cost that much. It would have cost more to get Alex to review Freddie Got Fingered. Because I feel like I could monetize a Thunder Rosa versus Ricky Starks match better than they did.
Right.
But
yeah,
just miserable, unfortunate, just sad, lame. It was a period where Lucha Underground was still like going strong, but they had like, here's some of the names they had. They had Juventud, James Storm, Hurricane, Gringo Loco, the Beast Mortos was there, for the love of God. Ricky Starks, Low Key, Laredo Kid, Rey Mysterio, Swerve, Willie Mack, Thunder Rosa, Myron Reed, Kylie Ray Phoenix, Austin Theory, Darby Allin, Taya Valkyrie. Like, these are just some of the names.
Wow.
Insane. I remember one time I hit up Sammy Guevara and he goes, LOL, what happened to everyone's money? I said, yeah, that's about the answer I expected.
Yeah. Yep.
Nate says, every time somebody starts a car, I'm so excited.
Yeah.
D-Matic, the producer, says, do you have to wait until the day before a wrestling event to use Bet Online, or can you bet days before? As soon as their odds open, you can place those bets. And listen, some people told me they made some money on Hangman winning, which was a shock to me and a shock to everyone backstage. FightfulSelect.com had a very nice report on our $5.99 tier. Please subscribe, guys. Please support original coverage. That Hangman and Osprey actually pushed for each other to win. And although production employees found out the day of, like Hangman and Osprey found out a couple days before, there was also a funny response from Eddie Kingston, who posted on his Instagram.
Indeed.
We know the jerk off that leaked this. And I know Eddie a little bit, so I reached out to him. For anybody that says, oh my God, Sean Ross Sapp jumps in my DMs, I'll DM Eddie Kingston too. And you know what Eddie Kingston will do? He won't go and whine and cry on a forum. He'll message me right back. And I want to read his message because he said that I could quote him. Yes. This is the most Eddie Kingston message humanly possible. Yo, my dude, I have no idea who talked to you. I was just being a dick. I wanted to see who would maybe put themselves out by asking if I am talking about them. But for real, the only thing that got me mad was a friend calling me a gatekeeper, and I have no idea what that means. Not bad if I caused you problems. You can quote me if you want. He is the realest.
He's the realest dude. He's the
realest dude. What this guy. What a legend this guy is.
Yep.
I won't share any further details in the conversation. He said I could quote that, but this guy ruled. Because I was like, Jesus Christ, do I have heat with Eddie? Like, he's always been cool to me when we've done interviews. And then I got that, and I was like, okay. Because, I mean, not to dismiss him or anybody, but no, they don't ever know who feeds me this stuff. Alex, you know sometimes. But usually what it always is, somebody's like, oh, well, the guy that worked with you. No, he's contractually prohibited. Doesn't work like that.
Yeah,
but I was surprised that people took exception to that story. Because to me, it was just showing some selflessness and lack of ego. Like, I never looked at Hangman and Osprey and thought, well, these two guys hate each other. I never thought that.
No.
So Mike M says, Ricochet Gates of Agony. Notice he dropped Joe's name. I didn't notice that, but hey. Chi-Town Spurs says, I need those frat dudes to get blue and white Argyle sweater vests so they look like the Mean Street Posse. Great jobber, stable potential. Yeah, I mean, listen, if that's going to be their role, they could. I think they are okay at doing the guys that get beat up thing. But I also do think they should try to recruit Deonna Purrazzo, since she is like, you could be her graduate student. I am Crush NC says, ain't felt that way about a Dynamite in so long. That was the feeling. What an effing show. Well, I'm ready to talk about this opening segment. Holy cow. Hangman Page comes out, and he's wearing the Owen Hart Foundation tournament title, and he goes, this means a lot to me, but next year I will not be defending this. He's like, somebody else will be crowned, and that's assuming he's not the world champion. Or assuming he is the world champion. But he says, I have to look forward to the world championship, and I promise that in 7 weeks I am going to win that world championship. And Swerve came out And immediately I was like, I don't even care what happens. I just know it's going to be interesting. Because there is so much meat on the bone here. There's always meat on the bone. And I was like, they left it on okay terms last time. Like not I say okay terms as in they burned a house down and broke into a home.
Right. They didn't try to kill each other.
They didn't try to kill each other. They found some common ground. But in the back of my head was like, Swerve seems like he would really like to be in the spot that Hangman is in. Sure. And that is exactly what he said. And this is what I love. You are rewarded for caring about this show. And a couple months ago, the Young Bucks came out after Dynasty and they said, we did this for Hangman. Like, that's why we cost Swerve the championship, because our friend Hangman wanted something, and it's important to us that he gets that.
Yep.
And that in its own, Swerve probably looked at and said, yeah, whatever. Sure. Well, I know what you guys are. But then when Hangman goes all the way and is unimpeded by the Young Bucks and gets here and now gets the opportunity to face the people that the Young Bucks are working with, Swerve starts to side-eye that. And he goes, well, maybe this was a conspiracy against me. Maybe this was something that you all have planned out however long. Maybe it's always been in your back pocket for 6 years, since AEW started. And Swerve says, is this what happened? And Hangman says, well, dumbass, which is a wonderful way to approach that. It says, at one point I even considered helping you, but I'm never going to do that. And Osprey comes out. I gotta be honest, man. I got chills. When Osprey came out, I was like, what's this loud British dude going to scream at me? Like, what's he going to do? And he goes up to Swerve and he's like, you have cared about me since I was 20 years old. You have been my big brother. You have taken care of me. You have made sure that I'm good, but you are wrong about him. And here's the reality. You couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. He's the one. He's our chance. Unless we want to experience another however many months of this, we've got to get on the same page. And I think that's more of what Osprey was saying, as I promise I will let you talk momentarily. But I know that you're going to have plenty to say as well. It isn't, oh my God, nobody's ever going to get another title shot. It is, if we don't get on the same page, we have seen that they are on the same page. And it ain't ever going to stop. Because if I let this devolve right now, I know the route that it goes down. And it involves Swerve costing Hangman and then probably blowing up his storage building or something. Like any number of that stuff. And Swerve slaps the mic out of his hand, gets in his face. And then Hangman's like, I don't want his help. Like, don't ever bring that to me again. Like, they found common ground and respect, but he does not want Swerve's respect and or help. And Alex, I'm going to be there at All In, and I'm going to bust through that center field wall like the goddamn Kool-Aid man. If Swerve is on the top of the ramp nodding at Hangman like the Young Bucks did however many years ago. I know that I talked an awful lot there, but damn, this just took a story and branched it this way. And I am made of questions right now. Tell me everything that you feel about this.
Well, I went into Sunday feeling that it was Osprey's time, mainly because it's not time for Hangman to come out of this yet, because he needs to realize that it's not winning the title is not going to be the salve on the wound of his soul. It's not that's not how these stories work. This man is a former teacher. He knows the tragedy that he is enacting. He knows that getting gold, getting the crown, didn't make Macbeth suddenly happy. Like he was a tormented person, and his ambition it knew no bounds. Like he knows what he's doing here. So I assumed we were going to get Will Osprey winning, and then winning it all in, taking the title into Full Gear. That felt like it was something maybe that we could never get Swerve helping Hangman or Hangman helping Swerve, but we could get each guy separately agreeing to help Will Osprey. That was something that I thought we were going to do. But with Hangman winning, and then the story comes out that both guys were like, no, you win. No, you win. You win. And I think the answer is obvious, that both of them know that no matter who won this match, neither of them is beating Jon Moxley. Because the man who's beating Jon Moxley is Darby Allin.
I don't believe that.
Because that was the story that Tony Khan got in his head a year and a half ago, and he told the story, and he allowed Darby to go away, but now Darby will be back in time to win the title at Wrestle Dream a year after Moxley won it. And it goes back to Jon Moxley telling Darby Allin to his face, you will never be a world champion. The only end to that story, the way Tony Khan tells stories, is for Darby Allin to not only become a world champion, but to defeat Jon Moxley to do that. I hope to God I am wrong. I pray every night. I will pray twice on Sunday that I am wrong about this, but I cannot shake the feeling.
Here's what I'll provide. That wasn't the line of thinking for either man.
Okay.
Because I spoke to people close enough to both of them.
All right.
That wasn't the line of thinking, because it wasn't them like again, I want to make this clear to people who had misunderstood in the past. Tony Khan makes the decision.
Of course.
It's on him. Like, he's the booker. So Osprey and Hangman saying, no, he should. It has zero bearing on what was happening. No bearing. Input is always appreciated, but I believe originally when the Darby thing was planned, they had hoped for Double or Nothing or All In or something like that. Hangman and Osprey don't know that either one of them would have lost, because neither one of them know who was going to win this.
Sure. I mean, unless the plan is, no matter what happens, Darby wins the title from Moxley, because that's been Tony Khan's thing. Is that
it hasn't been for months?
Okay,
I can tell you that absolutely directly.
All right,
as directly as humanly possible that was not a set in stone thing. As of, I'll tell you exactly as of when.
Okay.
I'll tell you exactly as of when I was straight up told it was not a thing that was in stone. Could it eventually happen? Sure.
Mm-hmm.
February.
Okay.
But
all right. Listen, here's the deal. I got burned at Dynasty.
Sure.
I was sure Swerve was going to win, because that seemed to me like it was the only thing to do. You have to pivot. The Moxley thing is done. We got to get rid of it. It has to be Swerve. He'd be a perfect guy to do it. I was 1,000,000% sure that Swerve was going to win until the Young Bucks showed up. I am never, ever letting Tony Khan do that to me again.
Alex, I think
now I have to believe now that the worst thing is happening. So when a good thing happens, I'm pleasantly surprised, because I will never feel that low about AEW again as I did when Swerve lost at Dynasty. I won't.
I do not think they can risk doing that on their biggest show.
Okay.
One that is, I don't want to say struggling to sell tickets, but is not hitting the 30,000 that many people thought that it would, or at least isn't as of right now. On a weekend where WWE is going to run 3 shows against them, they have to be very, very much a fan service situation here.
All right.
Right now, they have moved 15,500 tickets for a baseball stadium show. You really want to get to 25 at least.
Agreed.
And they're going to start announcing matches. But I think the ultimate ending of that show is their Avengers Assemble roster. I mean,
God, I hope
everybody comes out. I mean,
God,
the friggin' Dark Order come out and help.
I can't allow myself to be put in the situation where I expect that to happen.
Sure.
But because then I'll jump off a cliff. Like I can't do that to myself. So like I loved this promo. I love Osprey trying to be the go-between. I understand why both Swerve and Hangman don't like each other and don't want to accept his help, don't want to give the help. I understand Osprey trying to be that go-between, all that kind of stuff. Listen, like I want to believe that it is the time. They have several weeks now, 45 days, whatever it is, to get Swerve on the same page enough that you buy him actually coming down to the ring and helping Hangman with the Avengers Assemble thing. Or they can't agree to help each other, and the whole thing just explodes up in their face because they couldn't see that they had to be friends, and then that's part of their overall arc. I don't want that to be the case. I love this. Hey, the thing that is honestly making me feel more than anything else that Hangman is going to win tonight, he promised us. Hangman doesn't do that. Hangman has always said, I've never lied to these people. Hangman looking into the camera and promising us, the fans, that he was going to win is the surest sign to me that he will, but I cannot allow myself to feel
I
that
agree with N. Simmons. AEW cannot afford Mox winning. Not at this stage. The Death Rider stuff has been exponentially better over the last few months, I would argue.
Like,
but that's because
Swerve
they focused,
and Samoa Joe really helped that out.
Yeah, and they were focusing largely on the gang wars element of it as opposed to, well, here's Moxley retaining the title again. Yeah. Let's see here. We got N. Simmons saying, what I loved about this promo was by the end, let me find that one. I felt like Osprey might lose his mind trying to bring Hangman and Swerve together, which is exciting. He is a definite wild card here. And right now, AEW, first off, they've got to prepare for some top-level heels after all this because they have right now Omega, Hangman, Swerve, Osprey. That is a great four-pronged babyface attack. But Efren says people are starting to believe in us again from Osprey. I mean, Osprey has been Mr. AEW. He might as well be the flipping, dancing AEW logo. He is so ride or die for that company that I also believe that when he comes out there a year into his run and saying, we got to get on the same page because that's our best opportunity to make this show not suck.
Yeah.
Coy Stalling says, probably Hanger's best promo ever. Sorry, Hanger is the bestest wrestler in the world. That's it. Listen, I would not argue with anybody that says he is the most interesting performer.
He's the most compelling, realistic character in wrestling history to me. Because he just feels like a guy who really wants to wrestle, and none of it feels like there's no gimmickry involved. But every time he compelling as a babyface and a heel, and now this guy who doesn't know anything other than he needs to be the champion again. Like he's super compelling. I love everything about what he's doing. There will be no one who is more elated because of how much I love Hangman. There'll be no one more elated if he beats Mox at All In, but I cannot believe that he will. Otherwise, I'll be crushed if that doesn't happen.
Well, the fact that the Repo Man is not the most realistic character to you means that you come from a place of privilege. So, Frank M says baby faces should never promise if they don't do it. That was like a Bret thing for sure. Bret Hart never promised.
I know
if he wasn't doing it. Like it was very, very big. Mike M says WrestleMania 40 ending, but with a soul. Wink, wink. Dave Cost says very dramatic open tonight. I really wasn't with it because it felt very unlike AEW, but we're 7 weeks to go. I'm along for the ride to continued. I was very with it because like it's going somewhere. And I'm like, okay, well, how do other people get involved in this? Like, because I thought it was if it was going to be Osprey and Moxley, I thought it was probably going to be Hangman versus Swerve or Hangman teaming with Swerve. One or the other. It's just for what? But
yeah, I thought it might have been something like to help Osprey. They don't like each other, but in order to help Osprey, they get the Young Bucks to agree. If the two of us working together can beat the two of you in the first match of the night, no one is allowed at ringside for Moxley versus Osprey.
Yeah.
And if you can beat us, then it's a free for all. But like something like that, and they allow themselves to work together just to make sure that Osprey can beat Moxley because they hate Moxley so much. But
Yeah.
who knows now? I don't know.
Matthew says Darby winning the title would be like Hogan winning the title at WrestleMania 9. I don't know about that bad.
Yeah.
Darby's
like
got a
that
lot
bad.
more years in front of him than Hogan there, but woof. I just don't, and I do think that Darby will be world champion one day. It's just I don't think now is the right move. Brian more or less says, I have an issue with Swerve in this. He started all this with Hangman. He made it personal. Why is he acting like Hangman is the problem? Makes him seem like a child to me. Well, because when people get blinded by this type of thing, like that's just the way that it goes. And he doesn't think that he is at fault anymore. In fact, he thinks that him just saying, I know, was sufficient there. When you got your house burned down, saying, I know I deserved it is enough.
Yeah.
But then when you see that.
Yeah, I think, things have changed since the Bucks came back and said they did it for Hangman, and then Hangman just gets to win the Owen with the Bucks not getting involved and everything. It makes him feel like maybe he doesn't know anymore that he deserved it.
Alan Rapp says multiple sites are reporting the current setup for All in Texas is only for 18K. No, WrestleTix is reporting it, and then everybody's aggregating WrestleTix. Shout out WrestleTix, who do incredible work there. Yep. I can't. If you all enjoy this show, please support original creators. But what they will do is they will try to sell that or near that, then open up more. Because what they don't want to do is scatter the configuration and to get a bunch of absolute donkeys posting pictures of big empty seats and all that stuff. Sure. You're already going to get plenty of that. The discourse around that is already going to be stupid and miserable. It's going to be a nightmare. But they got to minimize that as much as possible. So Mania 40, night 1 main event in the opening match, the night 40 or Mania 40, night 2 in the main. Very much with it, Alex. It has to be now with Hangman. I agree. It is the time for Hangman. It is.
I mean, it's got to be Osprey somehow convincing Swerve to just. Somebody was talking about in the SGS Discord. I think it was Henry Casey talking about what if somehow Keith Lee is able to convince Swerve, if Keith Lee can't wrestle anymore, if he's just not doing it anymore, and there's not the potential of them ever actually doing the feud. Keith Lee showing up and revealing that since Keith Lee has been out, he and Swerve have now become very good friends off screen. And if I can forgive you for ending my career in canon, in kayfabe with the thing, then surely you can forgive this man for long enough to help him win the title, and then, hell, get a title match with him after he becomes champ and kick his ass, and you become champ by beating that guy. Because I know you can. I mean, that would be interesting. You could figure out a way, whatever is the way to get in with Swerve to convince him somehow to help Hangman. We got to figure out a way to get it done. Because that's the only way this works, is if Swerve helps Hangman.
Guys, show some love. Leave a thumbs up on this video. Hey, if you guys don't even mind, go over to Fightful's Twitter. You'll see a bunch of these streams on Twitter. Slap a retweet on those. I'm going to start doing a thing where I do a contest based on people who retweet our streams, whether it be YouTube, whatever, or do shares. And we'll do like some sort of giveaway probably for ends of months and stuff like that. But we have neat ways of tracking that. So if you don't mind, show us a little bit of love. The algorithms are not favorable to us, so we would greatly appreciate you guys helping us out. We don't go baity enough on our stuff. But why doesn't Toni release some of the people who are incapable of wrestling again? Maybe media reactions. Well, that sounds like a very heartless thing to do. He has never done that. I mean, he kept Awesome Kong on the payroll for, I think, years after she was able to wrestle.
Yeah.
Even he just doesn't want to. It's not the way he wants to do business. Yeah. And I respect that. Dave Koss says, Can't imagine any scenario other than Mania 40 Part 2 at All In, Avengers Assemble style, including Darby by Swerve and Will's side, doing the Matt Jackson-like head nod as confetti falls on Hanger. Yeah, I do imagine Darby Allin to factor in big into something like that, like him diving onto a bunch of the Death Riders. And now it's not just the Death Rider. I mean, you got Claudio, you got Marina, you've got Gabe now. You've got the Young Bucks. Maybe Okada still tries to get involved too. Like you do that, and then all the baby faces come out.
Yeah.
Sharon says, when is Alex's favorite wrestler, Y2J, coming back? He should have came back at Double or Nothing in Anarchy in the Arena and sang more like "Let the boobies hit the floor." That's what he should have done.
Yeah.
That would have gotten a sincere pop from me. That would have been pretty good.
Yes.
Corey says, before the main event at Double or Nothing, my thoughts would have been Darby to return it All In to cost Mox the main event, Osprey to win. Oh, well, Hangman. I mean, that's very, very just like, all right, whatever. Well, I know no matter what, guys, you're going to be a winner when you use NordVPN. There are so many reasons to check out NordVPN.com/Fightful. Let's go through a ton of them. Works on all operating systems and devices, even your router. Protect yourself on public Wi-Fi. Shield your data from snoops and criminals. Add extra layers of digital security to your life with the Password Manager, the File Encryption Tool, the Threat Protection Pro. It's the fastest VPN in the world. They've got a global server network, 24/7 tech support. And if you're a wrestling fan, oh man, are you in for it? All of the programs that WWE runs, you can watch with one Netflix account with NordVPN.com/Fightful. You can get pay-per-views at a much more affordable price. This service pays for itself in the money that you are going to save. NordVPN.com/Fightful. Dave Koss says, as a Dynasty attendee who left that show furious and insulted, I felt attacked seeing that Bucks explanation become a part of the story. Signed a Philly guy who wish he got Double or Nothing instead in my city. I mean, I really admire the fact that AEW rewards its viewers for like going back to something like that. For it just not being like, oh, hey, well, me and Hangman said we were good. It's like, no, Swerve and Hangman have been through so much. Yeah, he's going to question that. Yeah. Of course he's going to question that. Why would he not question that? He has to. Raphael says, Alex, watch the movie Sean said or watch Darby Allin win the AEW World Championship.
Those are my only two choices?
I'll put it like this, Alex. I rewatched the Katie Vick storyline a few years ago, and I was sincerely entertained by it. Do you know why? Because it couldn't hurt me. Because it couldn't hurt me anymore. That's why. It was so small to me at that point. It just, I was like, okay, this is ridiculously stupid and so funny because I don't have to review it next week.
It's true.
Now, once you review Freddie Got Fingered, you don't have to review it again.
No, but it will always be in my brain, Sean, and I won't be able to get it out of there ever.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Oh, man. So, we've got Glassdoor Gamer saying Ricochet, but you didn't answer. Which one?
I mean, it's just your dumb movie.
Go. Glassdoor Gamer says Ricochet with MXM, but a change of gimmick. I think like way down the line that would be very funny, but I don't think right now it's
not right now. No, I would love them. I would love them auditioning to become his guys, and him being like, no, sorry. That would be kind of funny.
How close was ROH to being on TV? Did WWE interfere? I don't believe they interfered. It's just they're. Drop $25 right now if Alex admits Chris Jericho is his favorite wrestler. I mean, listen, if you do that, I'll get him to admit it and then just bonus him. But yeah, like we're working, brother. Like one of those.
I don't like lying. That's not fun.
But I don't know that it was close. There were talks. I will finalize that story very soon, but I don't. Tony Khan has a very distinct amount that I believe that he thinks that it's worth, but I don't think that they have treated the show with that amount. CC Bonbon says AEW should have a super group with everyone that came from WWE and TNA to go up against AEW homegrown talent. It'd be the hottest story of the summer. I don't know. I don't know that the outsider versus AEW thing works when some of these people got fired from those places. Why would they have any allegiance to those places?
I mean, they could be like, we want to take. See, that's the thing. I don't want like invasion angles. We want to take over and mold this place in the old place's image. Like, I feel like that's just not a thing.
The this place sucks story almost never works.
Yeah,
almost never. It worked with the NWO. That was it.
Yeah, and
it was just that's because it was so taboo. Because of WWE's way of doing things. Wheelchair Hulk says, already got my tickets for All Out in September. I already booked my travel. I will be there in Toronto. Man, I love that city, but I will be at SmackDown next month. I will be at All In the month after that. I will be at SummerSlam the month after that and All Out the month after that. And I look forward to people tweeting me saying that neither AEW or WWE allow me to come to their shows when I will be alternating said shows.
Yes.
Is there a scenario where Mox wins and it works? Yes, Dante. I'm glad you said that. There is. And that's if a fucking meteor hits and literally the entire roster, unfortunately and tragically, perishes.
That's what I thought at Dynasty 2, though, and that's my thing. So
they have bridged it incredibly well since Dynasty.
Shockingly, they have. What really helped with that is that we didn't watch Mox defend the title at Double or Nothing. That really helped because those title defenses have become really difficult to watch.
Jambeard says the closing shots are Hangman on the shoulders of the good guys, Omega and Osprey with Swerve and the ramp looking on. I think Swerve has to give his like little nod of approval type of thing. We need to see that. But yeah. Dave Koss says, we read that one. Well, we had Mox, Marina, and Gabe Kidd, who Gabe Kidd just apparently is a member now, is what it seems like.
Kind of.
He fits. Yeah. He's got the attitude, all that stuff. They defeated Speedball, Briscoe, Willow, and then we had Commander get involved and have an exhilarating takeout of Claudio there. Yuta got involved. Gabe heaved Speedball over his head, over the guardrail, through the table. Man, listen, I figured Gabe Kidd would fit very well with this group. That has worked. Mike says most people are afraid to say Death Rider sucked because of Cope. I mean, listen, that wasn't great either, but it wasn't just Cope. It was not going great.
The four-way was a really bad choice at the time they did it. And it led right into Copeland and FTR showing up. And instead of going after the trios titles and then like freeing up Moxley by himself to have to go up against somebody else, Cope was like, I'm getting the title. I'm like, no, you're not. So the fact that it took 4 months of Cope trying to go after the title did not help things.
Yeah, I agree. How'd you feel about this match? Death Riders end up winning.
I really love that the women are getting involved in that way, that are like, just like,
Marina suplexing Speedball. Jesus.
Like, yeah, this was a lot of fun. It's a continuation of the Anarchy in the Arena stuff. It's all great. Listen, I feel like if you're gonna do a stretcher match, the loser of the stretcher match needs to sell that for a week. He can't come back 2 hours later and help the good guys win the Anarchy in the Arena. But still covered in the blood from the first one.
You're just sliding them into the back of a stretcher.
Okay, well, if that's the case, then he shouldn't be on a Dynamite as a couple of days later. Like, it's just like when you say this is a really, really violent match, then you have to at least, even if the guy didn't get hurt, you have to feed into that. The next time they do a stretcher match or anything like it and say this match ends people's careers, or they can come out a couple hours later and help the baby faces win the Anarchy in the Arena. So just for the sake of keeping it kayfabe, bro, you gotta just to me that would be a thing. But I understand if that was the only guy that was healthy who could have been in this spot because of all the injuries. This was a lot of fun. Mike Bailey's great. They're really doing a fantastic job with presenting him as being a dude who's going to hold the title in the next 18 months. And you believe it at any point, get him a title match and he'll be good in it. I thought this was a lot of fun.
James Stalling says more Gabe Kidd, please. And thank you. Yeah. I mean, listen, I was on the JC Jane hype train years ago. I was on the Gabe Kidd hype train years ago. Dave Koss says, Alex, curious your thoughts because Sean was asked this on the hump. If Death Riders lose Blood and Guts after losing trios titles and Anarchy in the Arena, I'm worried. Are you? Blood and Guts is just a theory, just a hypothetical at this stage, but
yeah,
it could be finally the end of this group.
Yeah. If All In is this early, it's possible Blood and Guts is the final nail in the coffin. Like after all the titles have lost, they have their one more shot. We're trying to like get the titles back, and this is what they do. Maybe, I don't know, but no, I think I could easily see a thing of like the entire world is collapsing around Moxley, and the final straw is he loses the world title. That's certainly possible. We don't even know when Blood and Guts would happen or if, but. Yeah, I guess we would just have to see what they do with the storytelling here over the next few weeks.
They could just simply and finally abandon this group. It's been 3+ years.
Oh yeah, no, yeah, you can absolutely.
Even though they're not the 100%. Blackpool Combat Club by name, it is the Blackpool Combat Club,
right?
But I do like that idea of Blood and Guts finally wrapping it up, and Bryan Danielson working in that would be really, really great. I think that'd be good. Super Omega says AEW doing a great story continuation with Hangman. Yeah, they reward you for watching the show. I will always say that. Man, Anna Jay, Harley Cameron against Megan Bane and Penelope Ford. Listen, there were some really good spots in this and some really bad spots in this. Really good spot. Loved the drop kick onto the open chair. I loved the chair shot to the head that was protected, but then the power bomb outside.
Yeah, that was good. I like that one a lot.
Then half the match got their noses busted open. Not ideal. There was a leg sweep on the chair where the person that got leg sweeped onto it completely missed the chair, and the person who did the move landed on the chair. And then there is one of the worst doomsday devices you are ever going to see.
Yes.
Ever going to see. This one, and I'm at least optimistic. And yes, Anna took forever to do the table spot. Matthew Hook says, feels like we're building women's tag teams. Please. I hope so. Listen, you got to do matches like this, freshen it up. They all emerged unscathed after Sunday. So that probably helped lead to this as well. Shadow says AEW is a banger, but the ladies were effing dynamite. Toni said something about the money train in holes or something of the sort. Listen, there's
That's
a
not
lot
a direct quote. That's not a direct quote. Yeah, but close.
Listen, it was a mixed bag for me here. But I mean, the sentiment I appreciate, but it was a mixed bag for me. Any thoughts?
Yeah, I know. Anytime the women in AEW decide, hey, let's have a hardcore tag team match, it's always a banger. Like they always figure out new fun stuff. I really enjoyed the 8-part power bomb through a table. Like okay, I'm gonna sunset bomb you. No, and Megan Bane's too strong, and Anna Jay runs up and forearms her in the face, and all that succeeds in as she drops one of her hands, and then she has to go and like steal a chair from Penelope Ford, hit Penelope Ford with it, then hit her. Like I thought that they really sold Megan Bane is not going through this table unless you make her go through this table. They really did a good job of making Megan Bane into an absolute powerhouse in this.
And Harley looked tough as hell. Harley looked,
Whoa! When she came up with the bloody nose, with the broken nose, and she was like shoving the doctor away. I'm like, I'm getting back in there, man. She looked tough as nails.
Now, see, her and Chelsea Green tied for the Fightful Funniest Wrestler of the Year award this year, and now next year they're going to tie for Funniest Wrestler with a Broken Nose award.
Yeah.
It causes me a bunch of mess. But
yeah,
Dave Koss says props to Harley battling. She's so great. Not great. Production missing so much of the late, including the table along the other big spots, picture in picture. They did that with the finish the other day as well, Dave.
Yeah.
They missed the finish live and had to go back and show it. And I'm getting a lot of these. Is Harley okay? Is Adam Cole okay? I don't know yet. Like it's hard for me to find out immediately.
It's too early.
Like,
yeah,
very early, but I will find out pretty soon. But I wouldn't call it a Becky Lynch moment.
Not necessarily yet.
No. But it did highlight her toughness an awful lot, and I admire that. In Simmons says, Ricochet said he was looking for a crew, but hopefully not. If I had to choose, it would be GOA, and if he's healthy, Keith Lee. Crew isn't in it for what seems like a slow burn push for Ricochet. I feel like a guy like Ricochet needs someone more physically imposing than him.
Yeah.
Like that type of thing works for the obnoxious heel a lot more than two guys that are smaller than him.
Yeah, the crew they don't seem to have the attitude that would allow them to just be okay being pin eaters, which is what guys of that size would be for Ricochet. You need big dudes to run security for him, I think.
Jamie Hayter comes out. We had a Fightful Select update on our free tier today about her. I mentioned it earlier. She told Fightful that she's all right, good to go. Check out that free tier. Even if you don't subscribe to the paywall that has Alex's Sour Graps, my Q&As, a Discord, daily exclusive news that gets irresponsibly aggregated by everybody else. It doesn't bother me, not really. Just go ahead and subscribe to that free tier. So Jamie Hayter is talking about moving forward. Lights go out, lights go on. Techla shows up, beats her down. Techla has the spider, is a spider that's been crawling across the screen. Does the spider crawl and the turn looked great. Immediate impression is looks like a star. If you've never seen her before, you look at her and say, looks like a star. I saw a bunch of people say, oh my God, you could hear a pin drop. Well, guys, she's never been on American TV before.
Right.
And I'll see people say, well, what about vignettes and all that? Time will tell. If she doesn't get over, it's going to be like, okay, maybe they should have done a little bit more. But it's okay to just debut somebody and people to learn who they are, because that's what they're doing here.
They'll show us who she is after she's debuted, and also Jamie Hayter is 1,000,000% going to get Techla over. That like their matches are going to be hard hitting and brutal, and people are going to love watching her because she's wrestling Jamie Hayter, and she's going to get all kinds of heat because she's going to beat Jamie Hayter. It's going to work. It's a perfect dance partner for Techla to come in and face.
AEW Women's Division blog at AEW.one, who has sponsored our Fightful Awards, says, been a Techla fan for a long time, but that debut even had me saying, can't wait to see what she can do. And Mikey Ruckus topped her old banger theme. I'll check in and make sure that it's a Mikey Ruckus theme, but like it is going to be a different pace of work with Jamie Hayter than it's been for her lately. Listen, her matches this year have not been great. Like if you've watched them, they have not been great this year. Like, and haven't been for a little while, but she brings a different type of quality that you can see, a different type of presence that you can see. And fortunately, AEW has people on that roster. And, to be fair, so did Stardom, but we didn't see an incredible level of work there out of Techla. But I think that it's going to be put together here. There are some people that you look at. Stephanie Vicker is one. You see it and you're like, oh, that's going to work really well in WWE. Penta and Phoenix. You're like, okay, if the machine gets behind them, it'll work really good there.
Yeah.
But I am excited to see what she does there as well. And I thought she looked like $1 million. My God. Oh my God. Adam Cole, Kyle Fletcher, TNT title. I was so excited when this match was announced. So excited when it happened. A disgusting apron powerbomb, if you can call it that.
Yeah, that one had me going, just call it. If
Yeah.
he's fine tomorrow, reschedule it for next week. Give Brody and Josh Alexander 10 extra minutes. I don't care. But with the guy who has a history of concussions, sometimes they don't materialize until the next day or even later than that. You can't. That dude missed entirely, except for the very top back of his head hit the apron. You just got to be careful with that kind of stuff. Overly cautious. Like overly cautious now, and then apologize for it later, and then reschedule the match.
And I mean, Kyle Fletcher doesn't have a reputation for anything like that. Stuff happens.
It wasn't like, yeah, of course, it was an accident.
And I really enjoyed the match. The crowd was into it as well, but Lord Almighty, did I hate that finish. Loathed the finish with a passion. Hated the finish. Nobody ended up looking good there. And again, this is about the booking, not about the performers themselves. It made Josh Alexander look ridiculous. It made the Don Callis family look like they poorly strategize. Because if Josh Alexander interferes, you're definitely getting DQ'd. If he doesn't, maybe Kyle Fletcher kicks out.
Right.
It's never made sense to me to do the, oh, well, I'm going to run in before you hit your finisher thing, or I'm going to run in before the 3 count. And somehow, and it's been a WWE trope, it was an especially bad one during the last years of the Vince era, where somehow breaking up the count with a DQ at 2.5 before the kick out somehow makes them look better. It somehow protects them. Who does that help? This just makes the Don Callis family look really dumb and is a waste. Like, why book it if you can't do that? Like, why do that?
That was when I saw the match was booked, I was like, if this is the main event, you might see a shock title change here.
I thought so too.
You know what I mean? But when
they're short-handed, let's do something crazy and they can switch the belt back soon. Yeah.
When I saw it when it was coming on, I was like, oh, this is ending in a disqualification. And so I didn't think it was going to be this kind of disqualification, but like there was no way the match ends clean. We're definitely not getting a title change. You're not going to pin Kyle Fletcher. So there is no reason to do this match if you were going to put it on in this particular spot. Now, I did like Kyle Fletcher's backstage thing where he was pissed that Josh Alexander interfered because I don't need anybody's help to beat Adam Cole. Like that, I wasn't done yet. I would have kicked out. I would have won. And I also like Adam Cole in part of the brawl saying, I had you beat. Because in order to Adam Cole, nobody in AEW has ever kicked out of the knee pad down, boom, to the back of the head.
Yes.
No one's ever kicked out of that. So he figures I won. So if you wanted to get to a rematch of this anyway, then you could figure out a way to do the first one when this didn't need to be the finish. Because the most charitable thing you can do is to blame it all on Josh Alexander, who got his signals crossed. And that makes him look dumb. And you don't want that because then he goes out and takes a loss.
Yes.
So, like, it's not great for Josh Alexander is the most charitable thing. Or that Don Callis doesn't have faith in Kyle Fletcher, which is kind of where I want this to go. I kind of want Kyle Fletcher out at some point when he really becomes the star that he is. So starting it with Don Callis saying that was my call and I apologize. What do you mean it was your call? You know, something like that.
Because he's a good promo too. Kyle Fletcher can cut a promo on his own.
Absolutely, sure.
Don Callis can just really get that heat, and I do admire that. But hated this finish. Yeah. Maybe the 6-man tag from Double or Nothing should have been on this show instead of the TNT title match. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's absolutely a good place for it. 100%.
Maybe they just wanted to get Tanahashi, who FightfulSelect.com reported was backstage on that show.
Yeah. Although there's something come out of this is Roppongi Vice versus Roderick Strong and Kyle O'Reilly. You can sign me up for that. That'll be a really fun.
Yeah, that'll be a good match. That will be a good match. Yeah, Adam. So I think they'll probably run this one back. I just hate that finish. But
It's a bad finish.
then
Yeah.
Brody King and Josh Alexander had a kick-ass match to get into the International Championship contest. Oh, man. That German on the apron was sick. The crowd is really getting behind Brody King. Like, really, really getting behind Brody King.
They love Brody.
And
they've loved Brody for a while.
He's a very, like, he's charismatic in that he doesn't need to talk way. he barks a little bit. Doesn't even really have to bark. The crowd just barks for him.
They bark for him, yeah.
And man, this was good. It gives you some more prestige to that international title as well. People fighting like this to get that opportunity. I love this. I like Brody King winning. I was all about this, man.
This is great, and also the Gonzo bomb was filthy at the end. Like Josh Alexander busting himself open by doing an arms trapped German suplex where he actually dropped him on his face.
What a tough son of a bitch. Now listen.
And then I love Taz being like, sometimes if you don't have the right angle, you do a German to a big son of a bitch. That big son of a bitch lands on your face.
Yep.
You can't predict that kind of thing. And I honestly, he adds so much to these things, but with him saying like, okay, so when this move is attempted, here are several ways you could go wrong. That was way number 3. And I love that he actually allows you to tell that story.
One of my ultimate Forbidden Door Worlds Collide dream matches is Josh Alexander versus Chad Gable. Oh, God, I would love to see that. Just two vascular singlet-wearing sons of bitches.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Do you ever see where I absolutely smoked Josh Alexander on a Razor scooter?
No, I did not see
it. Wasn't even close, man. Mm-hmm. It was a media day for AEW, and I went there, and he had talked some shit. And as I took off, one of my shoes fell off.
Uh-oh.
So I just obliterated that Canadian son of a bitch with one shoe on.
Wow.
Left him in the dirt. Then
wow.
He put the TNA title over my shoulder. The TNA PR guy was not pleased whatsoever. Was not pleased whatsoever. I think I need to find that because Alex, I did my own rendition of Undertaker's biker theme for
nice.
the theme of that as well, an acapella version.
Wow.
But it was pretty good. It was pretty good. I'll try to find that and run it at the end of this show. Announced for Collision, Dorada versus Hechicero in an international title qualifier, Sky Blue versus Mina. And of course, the Paragon match and Takeshita or RPG Vice, Pungi Vice, and Takeshita against Roddy, Kyle, and Ishii. Ishii, like I don't even know where he works these days officially. Like he just pops up, and I'm like, he's still here?
Yeah.
Like what's going on?
That's good stuff.
We had timeless Toni Storm finally meeting Mercedes.
Yeah.
Zen says Toni and Mercedes should main event. Mock Story doesn't want her for me, and my wife, who even hates wrestling, loves Toni Storm. I know it might not warrant it for you, but if it's Hangman winning the world title,
here's the deal. That has to be the main event, because if it's not the main event, it tells you Mox is winning.
Yes.
And so you can't put it on anywhere else because it gives away the game. You know what I mean? Like, so unfortunately, I see what you mean. Unless they do it first or something. Like Hangman says, I'm not waiting. I need this son of a bitch now or something. We figure out a way to curtain jerk it with that. But this,
just to be clear, guys, you can send super chats and humper chats if you don't have a fro as well.
Yeah.
Like I just want to make that clear.
Yeah.
I think Toni wins this match. I really do. I think that they really nail her down as the anchor of the division. I think she beats Mercedes.
At this point, it's too early for me to tell because they've done a fantastic job of presenting these women as equals, having been kept separate. Like, it's really kind of cool the way that they have seemingly had this in mind since Mercedes debuted 400 and something days ago. Like you don't keep these two apart unless you know there's a specific moment where we're going to do this program and we want them to be fresh and have no experience with each other. When we do that, I really liked all of Tony's part of this, bringing up like we both struggled on the indies, but then got our flowers and our trophies, but then that wasn't enough for us. So we decided to, spread our wings and go someplace we could really be ourselves in AEW. And I like that they found that common ground between the two of them.
It's noted that even though that she's been told that this was a Mercedes dream match, she's like, you haven't looked my way. You haven't talked to me. You haven't said hello to me. Anything like that.
Yeah. This is really.
And Mike M said, you're the GOAT, but I am timeless. I did feel like Mercedes leaned a little bit too much into saying, darling. Like we get it. You're making fun of what Tony said, but yeah.
I am great line. I believe you are the greatest of all time, but I am timeless is truly one of the greatest lines in this kind of promo. I'm really intrigued to see how they do this. It's I love Jamie Hayter. I really do. But when you get this close to doing this kind of match, 4-time AEW Women's World Champion and the greatest women's wrestling character maybe of all time versus the undefeated, maybe greatest wrestler of all time for women in the former Sasha Banks / now Mercedes Moné, like you got to figure out a way to make that match happen. And they are. And I love that right now, I don't know who they're going to pick to win it. Because I think that there's really cool storylines that could work with both of them after they lose. Like Toni, having a different kind of breakdown without her title. Mercedes loses. She's still got all of her other titles, but what if those start falling away? What if she loses those titles too? There's a lot of really cool stuff you can do with either of them if they lose too.
Man, there is. And Toni also established, I think she pretty well established, it's not going to be title for title because she says, this is the title that means something to me. No matter what those mean to you, this is what I have bled for, cried for, died for. Yeah. And Mike says, what do you guess Will and Swerve do at Y'all In? Do you see Toni and Mercedes, or Toni versus Mercedes topping the Hollywood ending? I'm glad you brought that up. So that's what I'll talk about that momentarily. Will and Swerve, if not against each other, maybe teaming up together. But if it happens, there's got to be something of value, like you mentioned, Alex.
Something. Yeah.
So I love that this person, Mike, is bringing up, will it top the Hollywood ending? Because as a performer, which you have been, Alex, it's one of the ways you got this gig.
Yeah.
Topping an incredible performance is something that sticks in the mind of musicians, actors, stage art, anything like that. And that is such a Toni Storm thing to care about within character. Right. Yes. I will not allow my peak to be the Hollywood ending because that was not my ending. It might have been her ending,
right?
But it wasn't mine.
I think that you can honor how special that was for Toni Storm because this is an entirely different kind of match.
Yes.
That was a personal story built over the course of a year plus. Like you had, everything culminated in that for those characters and for that story, which may be the greatest women's wrestling story, long-term wrestling story we'll ever see. This is entirely different. This is the two greatest women in the ploy of this company. And again, the greatest women's wrestling character of all time and one of the greatest wrestlers versus the GOAT. It's an entirely different kind of match. Now, this is the kind of match that I think that the emotion of the Hollywood ending match made it a different kind of match than this will. This is going to be about who's the better wrestler. It has to be because of the people who were in it and for the stakes that it is. The other one was more not necessarily about the title as it was about proving once and for all, we're done with this. I am better than you so that we can end this story. The emotion wrapped up in the Hollywood ending is going to make it an entirely different kind of match than this one will be. I'm looking forward to seeing how different Toni Storm makes these matches because I know she's going to find really great stuff.
Can't wait for this. Meet Norma says, I have a fro and will super chat of my own volition. Which women's match will actually main event a pay-per-view if not Toni versus Mercedes? Hangman should win. So, Mariah and Toni should have. I mean, it's unfortunate that it didn't. There was no reason for it. The most perfect way to end a pay-per-view in Hollywood was the Hollywood ending. And not only that, they could have had a big effing curtain that closed as the pay-per-view ended. And it would have been
perfect time to do it. Yeah.
It would have been amazing.
Here's my answer. What match for the women in AEW could be built over long term so that it feels like it's gotta end the pay-per-view? It's Willow and Stat. They are the greatest, the rivalry / friendship / rivalry again. Stat wants to be Willow's friend, but Willow won't let her. Like there's multiple chapters left to write within that story that finally gets to Stat or Willow is the champion, and Willow or Stat is coming for the title. And all of that history over years and years and years has built up to this match. If you put the right men's title match on the card, then there will be no argument that Willow versus Stat is that match to go on last on that pay-per-view. I think that's the one that might end up being that built.
I got to agree with that. Also, I am hoping that AEW All In features Athena versus Thunder Rosa for the ROH World Title. 2 Texas girls. I think they should really put that on there.
If they're going to put it on there, then that really leaves the cupboard bare for your Death Before Dishonor show. Like, because that's why people will buy tickets for that.
Fuck them.
I totally get you. I totally get you. But I don't know what you're selling tickets to for that night if Athena's not on that card.
Yeah, but Death Before Dishonor is like September 5th.
I thought it was that weekend. It's not that weekend?
Death Before Dishonor? No, it's September 5th.
Isn't there is there not an ROH show the day
Super
before
Card of
All
Honor.
In?
Yeah.
That one.
Hear me out. No.
Okay. You don't care? Okay.
I don't care.
I don't care. I don't care either. But for the people who are going to buy tickets, I don't know what they're buying tickets to see if Athena's not on the show.
I stopped pretending to care about ROH because they have not pretended to for a long time.
That's fine.
I will listen.
I care about the people, Sean. And I care about what they're spending their money on. And I want to see what they might get if they buy a ticket. And I think Tony Khan should give them something very important on that show if he wants them to buy tickets to it. Unless it's like a buy one, get 4 free. You know what I mean?
I mean, I care about the performers as well. Like, sincerely, like Athena is incredible and is one of the best wrestlers in the world. Has been our women's wrestler of the year 2 years running on a show that nobody watches. So imagine if she was on Dynamite.
Put Athena and Thunder on All In and figure out something really big to go on Super Card of Honor because you got to do something.
Chi-Town Spurs says not often do AEW open and close with promos like that. Nailed the opening build for the 2 big title matches. I agree. Any update on Anna and Harley, Sean? No, but I'll get an update on them. But listen, it's Harley Cameron. If she's got to go out there with a mask on, she's going to go out there with a mask on. If they have to go out there with matching masks on, they will, and then they'll start doing twin magic is what they'll do.
Harley Cameron will turn wearing one of those masks into a Phantom of the Opera bit.
Yes.
Well, she'll just stalk around backstage with a big cape and then like she'd do stuff like that.
She's so good. Dave Koss says, Toni is such an all-timer, man. I'd very much limit those interactions because even as a decade-long Mercedes fan, she can't touch Toni in that setting. I would do. I mean, listen. How many Dynamites do we have? We've got
7. This is 6 after
4.
tonight.
We got 6. So you will have a physical altercation in one of those.
Yeah.
I do think you need to have one where Toni says, "Hollywood ending was not my peak. My career continues, even though someone else's may have ended." You will have a video package. You will probably have a contract signing, and you will probably have a side-by-side interview type of thing as well.
Do they do tag match? Each person finds a partner and they do a tag match. They're going to do one of those.
And then Harley is. Do you think Harley is who
Both
Mercedes finds?
Harley is. She's both tag team partners.
She's all-time quarterback. Listen, that'd be horrible. That'd be horrible booking, but I want to see it for the sake of me. One could pick Anna. One could pick Harley.
Yeah.
Oh man. Alex, tell the people where they can find you, where they can follow you. Of course, FightfulSelect.com, my friends.
That's right. FightfulSelect.com is where you find the Sour Grap show most nights. Monday, we review Raw. And then on Fridays, I do a thing where I watch the first 2 hours of SmackDown, and then I do a watch-along of the third hour of SmackDown while talking about the first 2 hours of SmackDown. Depending on what they book for the final hour of SmackDown, it can be a lot of fun. And over on Tuesdays on this very channel, Kate and I review NXT, which now has left its women's cupboard entirely bare. So we'll talk about what's going to happen after that. But it's a lot of crazy stuff going on there. We're going to have reviews. Kate and I will have reviews of Worlds Collide and Money in the Bank and all this kind of stuff. When that happens, there's usually a lot of fun. Also, coming up here in 1 month from today, they're doing their Night of Champions in Saudi, and that means a Sands of Blind show where I don't watch, but Kate does, and then she tells me what happens, but sometimes she lies, and I have to find out what she's lying about because I did not watch the show. It's a lot of fun.
Guys, let me do a quick pitch for FightfulSelect.com, the best $5.99 a month in the business. You can also subscribe annually and save 10%. But it's not just wrestling news that everybody else irresponsibly aggregates, and I got to correct. It is weekly Q&A shows. I do like 5 to 7 Q&A articles a week. We have exclusive access to a Discord. It is a wonderful community. During these shows, especially the big shows, that's where I'm at, hanging out, talking. We've got betting odds. We have pay-per-view preview shows. We have 2 to 3 Sour Graps reviews a week, pay-per-view reviews as well, early notes from our interviews, bi-weekly Q&A shows with Grapsity as well. But we also have a full archive of shows. If you like trading cards, I've done a bunch of card hauls. If you like figures, I've done dozens of figure haul videos. We've got dozens of retro reviews, dark match commentary, a lot of stuff like that. It's just $5.99 a month. You can also gift subscriptions over there. I want to thank you all so much. Been a while since we've done a 90-minute AEW Dynamite review. Listen, Alex, I'm feeling like you. I did 2 90-minute reviews today.
I know. That's tough.
I mean, it's nothing like the 4-hour one you're going to do for Freddie Got Fingered, but
right, exactly.
Also, I want to tell you guys, follow Fightful Espanol. We launched Fightful Select Espanol and Fightful Twitter Espanol. And Rocky Romero hit me up and he's like, you got to get on Facebook, got to get on Instagram for that audience. So if you speak Spanish, Luis is heading that up. He's doing a really good job. I am also on Facebook now. If for some reason you want to see me make fun of how your grandmothers and great aunts post on Facebook, there you go. Until next time, my friends, we're out.